I'm Parker,
And I'm Mike.
and welcome back to Theme Park Nerds. We have so much to talk about this week. Glad to be back with you. Mike, as you know, went on a huge California trip lately. He hit up Universal Studios Hollywood, he hit up Magic Mountain, he hit up Knott's Berry Farm. Where else did you hit up?
And Discovery Kingdom in Mission Viejo, California, outside of San Francisco. But before we get into all that, let's talk about all the parks I went to, because I know it sounds selfish, but I went to some pretty cool places.
You went to some really awesome places.
Yeah, because I'm pretty awesome. So first and foremost, my first stop on my big trip was Universal Studios Hollywood, mainly because I wanted to see what are they building in the center of the park, because I'm not even sure Universal knows what they're building in the center of the park right now. If you haven't already checked out the pictures on the blog, take a look. I got them all posted from my trip. I took a ton of photos. In the center of the park where the Wild Wild West Stunt Show was, there's now just a bunch of construction walls with buildings. Not big buildings. They're kind of little buildings, but they're just kind of at the four corners of the area. And they don't look big enough to be things, but they're too big just to be a prop. I don't get it. I don't
know what they're building. I mean, honestly, I think they're building a Yeti to try and fight Disney's Yeti and see who can be more broken at the same time.
That'd be pretty cool if the Universal had their own Disco Yeti just sitting in the middle of the park, but I don't think that's really what it is. It looks like, I mean, just welcome to Disco Yeti Land. It makes as much sense as walking from the entrance into England, into Cyberdyne Systems, into a haunted house, but it looks like a bunch of, like, a series of gift shops kind of centered around a park or an open space, but nonetheless, they're building stuff. So yeah, but also what they're building around the corner over at the old Terminator 2 3D, 360, Cinesphere Adventure, the old Terminator 2 building on ice, because Terminator's on ice, effing awesome. They're building Despicable Me, which has finally been announced after they're halfway through construction. They got a lot of ripping out the front still going on, and a lot of putting up a big old house in a weird location that's not at all visible from the street. But it's happening. Which, being that they only announced it a couple weeks ago, the fact that they're almost done with the outside, pretty good. But they took forever to announce it, so that makes sense.
Totally makes sense.
So. And that's what Parker and I were discussing, what exactly Despicable Me's form it's going to take inside Universal Studios. Just because if you haven't been on the old Terminator 2 ride, it's a giant, like probably a good 1,000, 1,500 person theater that you're replacing with a series of small simulators that bounce around and jar your spine in sync to a giant animated movie. The Despicable Me in Orlando is on a much smaller scale than what Terminator 2 ever was, so it's going to be interesting to see how they, expand the scope of Despicable Me to fit a Terminator 2 theater.
They're either going to really have to get in there and build some real levels, because the Terminator theater, it's just a normal theater where literally 2 steps is an incline high enough that you can see above the person in front of you. Whereas this, in a ride vehicle that's going to have to lift up on a motion actuator that's going to be able to move around, they're really going to have to do some work on this thing. And they have announced it. They're somewhat on a tight schedule, I think. I mean, they said it's spring of next year. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's supposed to be the next attraction for the next season. So it's coming.
It's coming, and it's trucking along at full speed right now. But they're really going to have to be on their A game to make sure that that thing opens up on time, in order to be like the carryover until Gibson starts getting torn down and everybody gets all excited about Potter moving.
Because that's the one thing they're in absolutely no hurry to get started right now is Harry Potter World. Wizarding World of Harry Potter Universal Hollywood hasn't started. There's not a sign that project's happening. For the fact they announced it before Despicable Me, which is almost done, that you wouldn't even know it was coming. Gibson is very much still open. Everything's there. There's nothing really torn out. Even if you go on the tram tour and look behind the backstage at Gibson, there ain't nothing happening. So Harry Potter's coming someday. So anyway, after Universal Hollywood, I made a little trip up the road to, well, actually down the hill, to Knott's Berry Farm in Buena Park, which was my very first time in Knott's Berry Farm. And if you want to see my full trip report of it, watch my little video, because all sorts of stuff. Long story short, Holy crap! Did I like that park? Way more than I thought I would. I expected Knott's to be kind of like a cleaned up Six Flags park, but it's awesome. A lot of good history behind the park. A lot of good food. The food was awesome, and it had some cool surprises. I mean, it had the great coasters. I mean, Silver Bullet, Ghost Rider, Pony Express, all fun, good times. But I'm a nerd for the rides that take some effort. Like anybody can throw up a coaster, but it takes some skill to make like a good dark ride or a good log ride. And they have two that I just freaking love. Calico Mining Company, which is basically the Jungle Cruise in a train, in a show building, in a mine built in the 50s. Awesome. And the Timber Mountain Log Ride, which probably I think it was like 55 it was open. Also just awesome. And the rides, they're pushing 50 years old, and they're good. Like, not because they're thrilling, not because they're state of the art, but because like they have that kind of sort of quality that, you know, shows that there's some love and care into the attraction. I loved it.
Mike, I gotta ask you, did you walk through their children's land at Knott's Berry? Because that's apparently it's voted one of the best, not the best, but one of the best children areas consistently every year. And from the pictures that I've seen off westcoaster.net, they do a very good job. Did it feel like that when you were walking around in there?
Yeah, no, it's really cool. And I think they actually were the first park to have a dedicated kids area. I mean, aside from like Disneyland, they had Fantasyland, but like they're the first ones. There was a proper amusement park to have a kids area. And Camp Snoopy is really well done. Like I've been to Mall of America when that was Camp Snoopy, and this is an actual, like, they don't just say, oh, it's Camp Snoopy because they're Snoopy characters. No, they actually go full on with the camping theme. Like, every attraction kind of is based around that sort of summer camp mentality, you know, time and place. And on top of that, the landscaping, the trees, the paths, everything kind of has that feeling of an old woodsy summer camp in the mountains for kids. And it's just really cool. The other thing that I really like about, you know, both Camp Snoopy and Knott's Berry Farm is there is a train for every age level at that park. And Camp Snoopy has a really great one that just kind of circles just the Camp Snoopy kids area that is just a fun little train. It's one of the little kid trains. You don't really do anything. You just ride around. It goes woo-woo. And that's great. And they also have, you know, the full-size proper train that gets robbed while you're on it by a weird bandit just walking up saying, asking for money and taking pictures, because that's what bandits do. They take pictures with people they rob. And so, like, it's just a good little, well thought out, well taken care of. That's the biggest thing. Is it's a well taken care of park.
Mike, I'm also under the I'm in the knowledge. I'm in the know-how, if you will, that you got to eat the famous chicken dinner that Knott's Berry throws on. Tell me a little bit about that.
The chicken that started it all, Mama Knott's or Mrs. Knott's chicken restaurant. To say I was full is probably the understatement of the century. So, for those of you that don't know, basically Knott's Berry Farms came to be because in the Depression era, way back in the 30s and 40s, the Knott's family owned a berry farm, and to make ends meet, Mrs. Knott's opened a chicken restaurant to, try and make some money for the family. And that got so popular that they needed extra entertainment for the people waiting in line for the chicken restaurant, so thus they built Ghost Town, and then the park kept expanding and expanding and expanding, and that original chicken restaurant is still kind of there. So, it's like $15-16. You get corn, you get salad, you get soup, you get a half a chicken, you get pie, you get best biscuits in the freaking world. And on top of these chickens are like the beefiest, bustiest chickens I've ever had. They're juicy and delicious, and there's meat, just piles of meat. And they just keep bringing you food until you're about ready to explode. And I almost did. Like, it was the most full I've been in a long time, and it wasn't that expensive. And then I tried to go on Ghost Rider afterwards, which almost was a disaster, but kept it in.
Well, I'm glad to hear that it was a good experience. I've always heard great things about the place. Every once in a while you get, like, bad service at the most, but I've never heard anything bad about the food, ever.
Well, yeah, like, it's definitely, it's by no means fine dining. Like, it's one of those places that you can tell has been added on to, and added on to, and added on to, and added on to, and they're not going for luxury. The menu is, they have other things on the menu, but basically the menu is chicken. It's fried chicken. This is it. There's some other stuff, but you're there for fried chicken. And don't go there unless you're eating fried chicken. It's delicious.
Let's move on to another park that you went to. You went to 2 Six Flags parks while you were there. You hit up Magic Mountain.
That awesome Six Flags Gold Pass is like $1 for every single park in the country.
You hit up Magic Mountain, and you also hit up Discovery Kingdom. I will leave it up to you to choose which one you cannot wait to talk about right now. Go.
Well, I'm going to start with Magic Mountain and end with Discovery Kingdom because that's the order I went to them. Okay, so Magic Mountain, I mostly went to go catch up on the construction of Full Throttle, which is now open. I was there literally less than a week before Full Throttle's opening date, and the trains weren't cycling yet. Which, hey, they made it. They're making it through the loop now, and nobody's fallen out yet, so we're good. But that was mostly why I went there. I didn't even spend an entire day in the park. It was mostly just to kind of see what was going on. I rode Jetstream, which you can see the video online. I rode Gold Rusher because it had a view of Full Throttle, and you can see that video online. But other than that, I didn't really do too much. But let's talk about Discovery Kingdom because I like parks with a history behind them. That's why one of the things I like so much about Knott's Berry Farm. And one of the things that confused me to no end was the way Discovery Kingdom became what it is today. For those of you that don't know, back in the day, which was a Tuesday, Discovery Kingdom originally was Marine World. And at some point in time, Six Flags took over Marine World, and Marine World was kind of like a SeaWorld, kind of like a budget SeaWorld park, where they have, all your necessities, the sea lion encounter, the stingray petting area, the dolphin show, the killer whale show, like all the things you need to be a proper ocean park, but on a smaller scale than SeaWorld. And then Six Flags took it over and said, hey, it'd be awesome to go with jumping dolphins, roller coasters on top of them. So they didn't expand the park in any way that made sense. So the entrance is here, and the marine park is behind it. So naturally, they put the roller coasters in front of the entrance. So your first impression coming into the park is you take the tram through this fenced-off corridor that takes you in between the coasters to the entrance. Which V2, one of their coasters, literally is above the entrance because the entrance is literally the center of the park. Like, you drive through the park to get to the entrance in the center of the park. It makes no sense whatsoever. But it makes for this very distinguishing difference between the Marine World section and the Six Flags, let's put some roller coaster section. The only caveat to that is in the Marine section, Six Flags loves their advertisements and loves their carnival games and loves random flat rides. So they just plop those just wherever just to kind of fill up nice space that would have been nice to walk around in. There's just this random shark ride spinning around. Okay. So that's your preface. Then to make things more interesting on the show front, a while ago, Discovery Kingdom lost their one killer whale. They had one. His name was Shoku, I believe, and he now lives at SeaWorld San Diego because he needed a better place to live. So they had, basically what it looks like now is they had an extra theater on their hands because they don't have a killer whale no more. So naturally, it's next to the Dolphin Stadium. So where they have a dolphin show where dolphins jump to Rihanna music, which every dolphin needs to rock.
Nothing says entertainment like dolphins jumping to Rihanna music.
Yes. So because you have that, and the old Orca Stadium was directly next door, naturally, in the old Orca Stadium, you put in another dolphin show.
Whoa. Hold the phone. We have dueling dolphin shows at this location?
Literally, the stadiums are next to each other, and they both have dolphin shows. One is just called Splash, or Drench, or we're going to splash you with some dolphin fins, with Rihanna music. And the other one is Cirque Dream Splashtastic, where they put up this very fancy, artsy backdrop, hired some acrobats, they drop a stage randomly into the center of the pool, and people balance off each other and hula hoop, and then they raise the stage and a dolphin jumps, and then they put the stage back down, and then some people balance off each other and they raise the stage and a dolphin jumps. It's weird. It's weird.
Huh.
I videotaped
So
both of them. The videos are also on the website, so you can see what I'm talking about. That's interesting. It's an interesting.
Do we have YouTube video? Can we upload a YouTube video of these shows and put them next to each other and have them duel? That's what I want.
No, they can't really duel because they're in no way organized.
I don't
enough
care.
To tell what's going
I want dueling dolphin shows. That's what I want.
I will put them both
From
up.
Rihanna music all around.
I want to get two windows playing each one.
Ready to go.
Duel away. So the thing that I really want to talk about that amused me to no end in this park is the safety check at the end of every single roller coaster before each coaster train is dispatched.
Okay.
I don't understand it because I know it's not a Six Flags thing because obviously Magic Mountain and the other Six Flags park don't do it. I know it's not a California thing because something happened that made them do this. That I want to, if anybody out there watching knows why Discovery Kingdom does their little safety check dance before every train is dispatched, I want to know. So anyway, because Parker hasn't seen this yet, here's
what
they do. So after they do their harness check, they go all the way down the train, and then all four corners of the station, they do this. Literally, hands on the top, look left, look right, look up, look underneath the cart, and then do a full sweeping motion, and then thumbs up.
I've been a ride operator before at a couple of different parks on several different rides.
Yes, yeah.
I've worked on roller coasters, I've worked on log rides, I've worked on flat rides, I've worked on a lot of crazy stuff. Never have I had to put my hand next to my head for anything because that looks dumb. And also, what are they looking underneath for? Oh, your hat went under there? Well, it's gone now. Sorry. Oh, your drink cup went under there? $15.50. You can get it at any drink stand. It's gone. What the hell?
Maybe they're looking for a maintenance guy under the station because
there should not be a maintenance guy underneath the station if this ride is in operation.
Lockout, tag out.
Just throwing that out there.
So if anybody, seriously, this is truly my obsession now with this park. If anybody out there knows why they do their dance, I need to know just so that I can get some logic behind it. I'm assuming something happened and they need to make sure everybody's looking all 360 degrees around the ride, but it's very specific. Like every single coaster does the exact same dance. And even Superman, which has no understation, they're still down. So I don't get it. But the one thing that I really, really did like about that park was the one thing that had absolutely no purpose thematically of being there, and that's Superman. They're bringing new Superman, right? I think Superman Ultimate Flight or Ultimate Escape, Superman the Superman ride.
New Superman ride.
Yes, and the reason being, every single attraction in that park, save one, is themed to some sort of animal. I mean, it's an animal park, so their wood coaster is called Roar. Their hanging coaster is called Kong. Their little baby coaster is called Cobra. Like, they're all animal themed. And then you have Superman.
He watches over all the animals. Everyone knows that.
No, he's the furthest away from the animals of all the coasters, and he's up at the front. He's practically in the road in front of the park because, like, he's out there. But that all being said, holy crap, I like that ride. Watch the video. I got that posted on YouTube as well. It's a one train coaster, and it's one of those. It's basically a shuttle coaster that loops all the way around into another loop. It's freaking fun, and I will hand it to the ride ops there. They could turn that train faster than anybody else in that park, and they could churn that line because they only got one train. It's not a it's just not a circuit. It's just basically a giant flat ride, and they were turning that sucker out, and that was a fun ride. I like it.
It's gotten really good reviews since it came out. I remember right when it came out, I think USA Today did a story on it, or someone did a story on it, and just the track itself is interesting to watch.
Yeah, it's
because you launch out of the station, you go into a 90-degree turn, and you come right back up into I would call it a barrel roll. I'm sure it's probably like a 0G roll or whatever. It looks like a barrel roll. And then basically you come back up and you dive back down at a turn into a big loop, and then the loop ends up back in the station. I mean, it's super cool. Super cool ride. Great idea for basically a shuttle impulse coaster, but
with
your
loopies.
Tracks underneath you, and it goes all the way through. It's crazy looking. Makes no sense whatsoever, but I love it.
No, it's super fun. And it's sad that it's in the location it is, because you could tell they stopped caring about the layout of the park years ago. Superman is tucked behind the wooden coaster. So there's still parking lot stripes underneath it. Like it's way up in the front. Like to get to the sucker is from the entrances. It just takes forever. But once you're there, it's freaking fun. Just don't try to go to Medusa, which is their other standard B&M floorless coaster, which everybody has. And this is why this park drives me nuts. Superman and Medusa are literally this close. But because of the tram entrance, there is no way to get from the coaster section where Medusa is to the coaster section where Superman is. You'll have to go walk all the way around the park, because the park's basically a giant U with the entrance in the back of the U. So... But anyway, they got 2 dolphin shows along the way. So as you're walking the 80 miles to get from one coaster to the other, one coaster cluster to the other coaster cluster, you can just watch dolphins jump forever and ever, never, and ever.
So I want to do a lightning round real quick, and then we're going to wrap this episode up. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. First thing comes to your head, you got to answer.
Lightning
ready?
round. Okay, go.
Lightning round, ready, go. During your trip, what was your favorite park?
Knott's Berry Farm.
What was your favorite ride?
Superman.
What was the favorite thing that you ate?
Ooh, not Mrs. Knott's fried chicken. Yeah, that was delicious.
Who had the cheapest parking?
Well, that's kind of a trick question, because I didn't have to pay for parking at Six Flags, although theirs would have been more expensive. I think technically it's a toss-up between Knott's and Universal, but I didn't really pay for any of it.
That's all right. That's lightning round. That's lightning round, folks.
Yeah, lightning round. What I win?
That was great. Good job, Mike.
What I win?
Good job.
What I win?
That's honestly all we have for this week.
I
want to thank Mike for taking a week out of his life to go and film and put his life at risk at these theme parks, riding these crazy contraptions, eating all this deep-fried, terrible food for his body, and literally sitting in a car for hours.
So many hamburgers.
And having to endure 2 Six Flags parks.
So much Johnny Rockets. So anyway, we'll do another update in the event that Parker actually goes to a theme park. It's probably going to be sometime in 2018. But when that happens, you can follow us on Twitter, and we will make sure that we update you the second Parker gets within a zip code of a theme park. It's not going to happen anytime soon, because he's getting married.
I'm going on a theme park trip in October,
which is
called my honeymoon
away.
And my fiance.
I'm going to be to so many different places by then.
It's going to be awesome. Can't wait.
I'm going to be so many places. Anyway,
you're going to have already gone to Disneyland 15 times by the time I get there once.
Yep, and that's why I'm better than you. So anyway, until that time, I'm Mike.
I'm Parker, and this has been another episode of Theme Park Nerds. See you later, nerds.
Later.